My mother slapped my daughter on the arm at her cousin's birthday party because she touched a cake topper. "This is not for you, you don't belong in this family," she hissed. No one said a word. I didn't scream. I said 4 words. My sister's smile disappeared. My mother dropped her fork. He slapped my daughter. On the arm. In front of everyone. That alone should have been enough to flip the table and end the party. But no one said a word. Not my sister. Not my aunt. Not her husband. Not even the kid whose birthday it was. Just silence and the sound of a cheap plastic fork hitting porcelain. Lily had only touched the cake topper. She didn't even grab it, she touched it. That glittery little unicorn with the number 8 on its back. I saw her face, wide-eyed and delighted, like she thought magic was real. And my mother, my own mother, slapped her hand away and hissed those words like poison. "This is not for you. You don't belong in this family." I didn't move. I didn't gasp. I didn't shout. I said 4 words. And that's when everything shifted. My sister's smile collapsed like a house of cards. My mother's face lost all its color. The room stayed quiet, but the mood changed like a cold wind through the window. Everyone heard me. They just didn't know what to do with what I said. My daughter was still standing by the cake, frozen. She wasn't crying, just confused. That was the worst part, how normal this must have already felt to her. Like some part of her expected it. Maybe she had. After all, it wasn't the first time my mother made her feel small. Just the first time she put her hands on her. I walked over and pulled Lily's hand gently into mine. Then I looked at my mother and I didn't blink. Here's the part no one at that table knew. For the last 5 years, I'd been paying for everything. The mortgage on this house. Mine. My sister's car loan. Me. My mother's weekly grocery card. Also me. I kept my mouth shut, sent the money, watched them pretend like it came from the sky. They smiled in public and whispered in private. Said I was always too sensitive, that I took things the wrong way. And now my daughter was taking things the wrong way too, like a hand across the arm and being told she didn't belong. I had been patient. I had swallowed the disrespect and played nice. I showed up to birthdays. I bought gifts. I even pretended not to notice how Mia always got the praise, the hugs, the attention, while Lily got the crumbs. But this was it. A line had been crossed. And the 4 words I said, they weren't loud. They weren't dramatic. But they were final. I said, "The money stops today." No one moved. No one asked what I meant. But everyone knew what I meant. And I wasn't bluffing. The paperwork had been signed that morning. My name off the deed. My name off the accounts. The automatic transfers, shut down. The joint credit card, cancelled. It had taken me weeks to untangle it all without raising suspicion, but I'd done it. And now they were going to feel every single cent they took for granted. I saw my sister slowly turn her head toward me like she was just waking up from a long nap she didn't want to end. My mother opened her mouth like she wanted to say something, but nothing came out. I bent down, picked up Lily, and walked out the front door without another word. They thought I was bluffing. They were wrong. The first call came that evening. I didn't answer. Then the text started. First my sister, then my mother. It was all fake concern at first. "Is Lily okay? Is everything all right? Please don't be dramatic." Then came the confusion. Where's the grocery money? Did the rent not go through? The car payment bounced? I read them one by one while Lily watched cartoons on the couch. Still quiet but leaning against me like she needed to be sure I was still solid. I didn't answer any of the messages. I didn't need to. They'd find out soon enough. The next day my sister showed up at my work. She never visits me there. She waited by the elevators, fake smile already in place like she thought we were just going to have a little chat. I told the front desk I wasn't available and walked right past her. 2 hours later she texted me from their house. "How could you do this to them?" "Them. Never you. Never us. Always them," as if I was some outsider to the family I basically kept afloat. Then she made it personal. "You think Mia doesn't notice the tension? You're hurting her too. Lily's not the only child in this family." I stared at that text for a long time. The way she flipped it, like I was the problem, like my daughter being slapped and insulted was just a thing to be overlooked for the sake of their comfort. It took everything in me not to send back the photo I took of Lily's arm that night. Not because it was bruised, it wasn't. But because that moment was burned into me. Her face. Her silence. That's all I needed to remember. 3 days passed. My mom still hadn't called. Not once. But I knew what was coming. Because that Friday her utilities got cut off. He called me then. It was short. Her voice was tight, like she was trying not to sound panicked. She asked if there had been a mistake. Maybe something wrong with the transfer? She even laughed a little, like we were still in the same old rhythm. But the rhythm was gone. I said, "There's no mistake." She hung up. Saturday morning, I found out from a mutual friend that my sister had borrowed money from 3 people just to make ends meet that week. She didn't tell anyone what had happened. Just said there was a glitch, a delay, some nonsense. She didn't know I'd also pulled out of the investment account I quietly set up in her name 2 years ago. The one that was supposed to help with Mia's school tuition. Gone. Liquidated. Transferred to a trust under Lily's name. I wasn't being cruel. I was done funding my own erasure. By Sunday, my aunt texted me asking what was going on. That's when I realized they were spreading their own version of the story. Probably told everyone I'd snapped or become unstable, like that made more sense than me finally being fed up after years of taking it. But no one asked why. No one asked what happened at the party. No one asked about Lily. Until Tuesday night. That's when things took a sharp turn. And it started with a knock at my door. It was nearly 9 p.m. when the knock came. Not loud, but not timid either. Just steady. I was washing dishes, half listening to Lily talk about a book she'd read at school. She stopped mid-sentence and looked toward the door like she already knew. I wiped my hands, walked over and opened it. It wasn't my sister. Not my mother. It was Mia. Standing alone on my porch in a hoodie that was too big, hugging herself like she wasn't sure if she should be here. I hadn't seen her since the party. I stepped aside and she came in without saying anything. She didn't take off her shoes. Didn't ask where Lily was. Just stood there in the middle of my living room, looking like she'd finally figured something out and hated that it was true. She said one sentence. "My mom told me not to come." I waited. There was more. She told me I was never supposed to be like Lily. She said Lily was too wild, too loud, too needy. But I like Lily. She's never been mean to me. I nodded. I didn't say anything yet. I let her talk. I could feel something unspooling in her. Mia told me that after I left the party, her mom got angry. Not in a loud way, in a cold way. She didn't let her eat the rest of her birthday cake. Said she was acting spoiled. She got grounded for crying about it. I was listening, but I was also doing the math. That meant Mia had asked about Lily. She'd noticed. She'd cried for her. And she got punished. I brought Lily out then. She lit up when she saw Mia. They didn't even talk. Just hugged and disappeared into her room with a quiet sort of urgency, like they were tired of adults ruining everything. 10 minutes later, my phone lit up. It was my sister. She asked if Mia was with me. I told her yes. She didn't ask if she could come pick her up. She didn't ask if she was okay. She said, and I quote, "You're poisoning her too." That's when I knew this wasn't just about money. Or pride. Or even favoritism. It was something deeper, something uglier. She'd drawn a line in her head between us and them. And Lily and I had always been them. And Mia had just crossed over. I didn't respond. I blocked her number. That night, Mia slept over. I didn't tell my mother. I knew she'd find out soon enough. And she did. Because 3 days later, CPS showed up at my door. Not for me, for my sister. The woman from CPS was calm, polite, and professional. She asked if Mia was with me and if I had a safe space for her to stay temporarily. I told her yes. She already knew the answer. This was formality. Turns out Mia had talked. Not to me. Not to Lily. To her school counselor. What she said was enough to open a file. Enough to warrant a home visit. Enough for them to show up at my sister's place while she was still on her 3rd cup of coffee and tell her they needed to speak with Mia. Except Mia wasn't there. She was here. That's when the mask slipped. Because 2 hours later, I got an email from my mother. Not a text, not a call. An email like we were colleagues she barely tolerated. She said she hoped I was happy now. Said I'd dragged the whole family through the mud. She said Mia was just having a hard time adjusting and that I'd manipulated a child into saying things she didn't understand. She ended the email with this. "We should have cut you off years ago." It was the first honest thing she'd said in a long time. I didn't reply. I printed it and handed it to the CPS worker the next day during the home check. She read it, folded it, and slipped it into her binder. She asked me how long Mia could stay. I said as long as she needs. She said good, because this wasn't going to be a quick process. There were patterns. reports, things that had been ignored. And I knew exactly what she meant. That weekend I took Lily and Mia to the park. It was the first time I'd seen both of them act like kids in months. Real laughter. No tension. No eggshells. No fake smiles. When we got home there was a box on the porch. No note. Just a small white box with my name on the top in black Sharpie. Inside, a single cake topper. A glittery number 8 broken in half. I didn't need a return address. I already knew where it came from. But they didn't understand. They were still trying to play games. I wasn't playing anymore. Because Monday morning I made an appointment with a lawyer. And I brought documents they had no idea I still had. I sat across from the lawyer I'd used before. The same one who helped me separate my name from the family house and close the accounts they had quietly drained for years. He remembered me. Asked if this was about financial recovery. I said no. This time it was about proof. I opened the folder I'd brought and laid out every document I had. Screenshots of texts from my mother and sister mocking Lily, downplaying her milestones, saying things like, "She's not like our girls." Bank statements showing the exact amounts I'd funneled into their lives month after month. Copies of gift receipts where my mother had returned items I bought for Mia and used the cash for herself. Even emails, like the one she just sent, cold, calculated, and full of venom. My lawyer flipped through it all, her expression unreadable. Then I pulled out one last envelope. Inside were photographs. Not of bruises. There weren't any. But you didn't need bruises to show harm. There was one of Lily at her 4th birthday, at my sister's house. No balloons. No cake. She sat alone on the floor with a cupcake and a candle while Mia opened a mountain of gifts in the background. My mother had told me it was a joint party. They just forgot to print Lily's name on the banner. Said she wouldn't remember anyway. But she had. She still did. Another photo, Lily in the background of a family Christmas, sitting on the floor because there weren't enough chairs. My mom had given Mia and her cousins matching robes and slippers. Lily got socks from the dollar store. I remembered because I bought them, last minute, when I realized no one else had. My lawyer looked up and said, "Do you want to go forward with this?" I asked what that meant exactly. She said we could file for guardianship if Mia remained in our care much longer. If the investigation stayed open, which it would, I had enough to argue long-term placement. Maybe more. But she also warned me, if I moved forward things wouldn't go quietly. I told her they never had. That night, after Lily went to sleep, Mia sat on the couch and asked if she could show me something. She pulled out a small pink journal. She'd hidden it under her bed back at her mom's house. She flipped to a page where she'd written, "Why does Grandma only like one of us? Why does she say Lily is trouble when she's nice to me? Why did she tell me not to hug her too long?" I didn't cry. I didn't say anything. I just closed the journal and told Mia she was safe now. But I knew it wasn't over. Because the next morning I got a call from an unknown number. It wasn't my sister. It was my mother's pastor. She wanted to meet. I didn't agree to meet her pastor out of respect. I agreed because I was curious. The man sounded kind, almost naive. Said my mother had been coming to church every day that week, staying after the service, sitting alone in the pews. That she'd finally asked him to reach out. That she wanted to talk, but couldn't bring herself to call me. We met in the church's small office behind the altar. She was already there when I arrived. Sitting straight, dressed neat like she thought she could still control the outcome by dressing for it. I sat down and waited. The pastor nodded and said he'd leave us alone. Before the door even clicked shut, my mother started. He said she was sorry. But not for what she did. She was sorry I was overreacting. Sorry I took everything so personally. Sorry I was always like this. Dramatic, too emotional, always trying to ruin things. She said I'd torn the family apart over a misunderstanding. She didn't know I had recorded the meeting. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I needed to remind myself later that I hadn't imagined it. That she'd really sat across from me, looked me in the eye and said, "You've always been hard to love." That was her explanation. I stood up and told her we were done. Not just with money, not just with visits. Done. For good. And then I left. No yelling. No storming out. Just a quiet, final exit. Back at home, Mia was drawing. Lily was helping her color in a dragon. There was music on. I stood in the doorway for a moment just watching them. Two girls, once set up to resent each other, now building something better from the pieces we'd pulled away. 2 weeks passed. CPS closed the investigation, but not before they filed a report. My sister was ordered to attend parenting classes. Mia was given the option to return home. She said no. My lawyer filed the paperwork. I became her legal guardian in March. Lily calls her sister now. Mia calls me just Rose. I'm okay with that. My mother never reached out again. But one afternoon in June, a card showed up. No return address. Inside, a picture of a unicorn cake topper. Unbroken. No note. I threw it away without reading the back. Because this time I didn't need closure. I already had everything that mattered. Sitting at my table coloring dragons, laughing like nothing had ever tried to make them small. Tried to make them small. Tried to make